special welcome to all of our brand ambassadors and a welcome to those who just might be kicking the tires tonight on something that we're so incredibly excited about. You can't imagine it. Welcome to all of our folks in the Pacific Rim. The Pacific Rim has a simultaneous translation being broadcast at the same time that I'm trying to talk to each of you tonight. And as most of you know, I'm an attorney, and so I get paid by the word in many instances. And so I tend to talk pretty fast. There's been several court reporters and trials and depositions who've cast ugly glares at me and have actually even thrown Post-it notes to get me to slow down. So tonight I'm mindful of that, and I'm making a conscious effort to make sure that I talk slowly enough that the translation goes well to all of our global brand partners, and there's a lot of them. We couldn't be more excited about this endeavor that we've all engaged in. First of all, this is, and by the way, a special welcome to our China partners, the people in Greater China. I think, I'm not 100% sure that the Chinese New Year's is more of not a New Year's Day, but a New Year's celebration. I think it's still going on. So Happy New Year to each of you. This is a weekly call where I get to share, it's part of the call, an update on the progress that's being made behind the scenes so that you can have comfort that that we're doing is concrete and it's foundational, and all of the things that go into building a new company, a new corporation, a new opportunity with new products and fresh faces. All of that is happening, and it's not just some mystical belief. It's actually real. And so there's things that have been going on that many of you would have no reason to know that it's even happening. We've talked about the comp plan a couple of times, the compensation plan, or the reward plan as we've called it, that the grammar checks are being made on that. And we should have a printed version of that available to everyone here pretty darn quick. I would hope by the end of the week. That will allow you to start sharing this in a more concrete way, as opposed to sending out a video that requires somebody to look at it for a whole long time. Kim did a great job. Kim Wee, one of our business partners and one of the leaders of this whole organization, which most of you know, Kim did an outstanding job explaining the comp plan, but sometimes it's helpful to refer back to certain portions of it without looking at the entire video. And we hope to be able to allow you to do that very, very quickly. You'll see that when you review the comp plan, that this has the most generous check match in the history of the industry. So that which we get paid for helping others succeed, the philosophy of the people who kind of put this whole thing together, including Lance and Tracy Smith and Kim Wee and Samson Lee and myself and Linda and our corporate partners, the philosophy is we want to reward all the right behaviors. And I know that when I first started in this, instead of on the law side, being on the distributor side, the epiphany that was the most important turning point for me was I get successful only if I help others be successful. And this compensation plan rewards people very generously for doing just that. Your ability to enhance your commissions from one level to another by engaging in some consumer activities, which keeps us legal and keeps us engaging in the right behavior in that respect. Global leadership pools that pay out quickly and weekly and not pay out quarterly and are available to people at the mid ranks, not just the highest ranks. A founders leadership pool, which will be very generous, and it's something you want to be prepared for because you'll be able to buy a founders kit come February 20th, and you'll want to do that because that will allow you to participate in the founders pool going forward. And that'll be a very, very good program for you to be a part of. You'll want to have that. And then the rank advancements and the payment of the rank advancements. The fact that the rank advancements, if you hit your rank on a Sunday, it'll go back and pick up the whole week as paid at that rank instead of waiting to start being paid at that rank right when you hit the rank. So that's kind of a real cool thing. We've been doing the grammar checks on the rewards plan, and we'll have that in printed form soon, as I mentioned. But we've also been working hard on the policies and procedures. I've been working hard this week on this entire weekend, actually, on the policies and procedures with our corporate partners. I think you'll find that this policies and procedures, this group of policies and procedures that we put together, is the most distributor-friendly policies and procedures in the industry. And those of us who kind of walked a mile in the moccasins of the distributor and know that that here's kind of the issues that come up all the time. We've created mechanisms that will allow for a ton of fairness when it comes to dealing with those issues. So, for example, there'll be a distributor-led board that will handle compliance complaints. And that's unique in this industry. So there's an element of due process by your peers, not just people in corporate who may not understand exactly what we do day to day. That's a big deal. There'll be a procedure to address unique circumstances for distributors when they come over from another company or when they develop a unique circumstance. It'll be a variance that you'll be able to be upfront with the corporation and be upfront with your distributor team and tell them, here's what I'm facing, and does this justify a variance from the policies and procedures? And those will be handled on a case-by-case basis. And although the corporation will have the ultimate say, that'll be done in collaboration with the distributor board. So that's kind of a neat thing. And then some basic stuff that's happening, things like the welcome letter, where that's being put together. There's a customer service plan, a program that's well underway. Obviously, we've had customer service is such a big issue, and that's underway and has to be finalized, but it's in the process, and we're right on target to be able to do that in a timely way. We're putting together the communications with the field that will allow for instructions to tell the distributor how to move their team from the existing tree where we've placed people into the tree that is going to be the ultimate corporate tree. And so that's underway. We've got videos on the products that are almost complete. In fact, they may even be complete. I didn't check on that before our call tonight, but we've got videos on the vision and the mission so that we can help you duplicate everything that you want to do with the people that know, love, and care about you and the people that you know, love, and care about, so that you can share this very, very valuable thing that we have worked so hard to put together with everybody that you care about. And what a great segue to talk to each of you about the topic of duplication tonight. Two of my dear friends in this industry, Colombo and Karen DiSalvatore, with whom I've had a relationship for 20 years at least, 22, 23 years. And like many of my relationships, those began in the law, and I try to step into the shoes of my clients. And in stepping into the shoes of Colombo and Karen, I realized they were really, really big shoes to fill. They're wonderful people. They have a heart as big as Dallas. They're from Connecticut, tons of experience in this industry, tons of success in this industry, and people that I know I've learned from a ton over the course of my tenure in this industry. And I hope that they can share some of the things that they've shared with me, with each of you tonight on the topic of duplication. So without further ado, I give to you my dear friends, Colombo and Karen DiSalvatore.
Thank you, Mike. Well, good evening, everyone. We're Colombo and Karen DiSalvatore. The first thing we want to do is to thank all of the leaders for giving us this opportunity to share for a few minutes. I want to thank Kim and Samson and Mike and Linda, and of course, Lance and Tracy. So before we kind of get into the topic of duplication, we'd like to just give you a little background so you can get a little feel for who we are and tell a little bit about our story. As Kim had said the other night, if you were on the call, Karen and I have been in this industry now for 46 years. That's most of our lives so far. And it's been a very exciting ride, but we stumbled into this business by accident. We were contacted by a perfect stranger. And the reason that we were open when we saw the opportunity is because we were looking. We were looking because we had a problem that only more time and more money would solve. See, we were young, we were excited, we were ambitious, we wanted to tackle the world and have some great success, but we had a problem. We only knew how to trade dollars for hours. If we weren't making enough money, the only thing that we knew was to take on something else. So we got to the point where both of us were literally working around the clock. A typical day started out about 4 o'clock every morning I was shuffling packages at a company, United Parcel Service, and I loaded packages from 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, I had to run to classes at the University of Maine because I was a full-time college student. And those classes always got done by noon because I also had a construction business. I was a drywall contractor. I worked for myself, and I worked until as late as I possibly could until I ran to my apartment houses that I had bought that I was trying to fix up to get some rental incomes. And most of the time I spent that time just chasing tenants, trying to get my furniture they were taking or back rents or whatever. So I was literally working around the clock. And believe it or not, Karen was working harder and more hours than I was. She was the head of respiratory therapy in a local hospital, and she was at the hospital from 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. And when she came home at 7 o'clock at night, she was on call until 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 days a week. So she was either on call or working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, we were running that schedule and we weren't complaining. We were hard workers. We were making some pretty good money, but a little problem popped up. We found out that we had our first child coming, and I had shot my mouth off that when we got married, when we started having children, Karen could stay home as a full-time mother. Now, I didn't realize when I said that when that time came, that she'd be bringing in over 50% of our income. So we had a problem. How are we going to cut our income in half to have Karen come home as a full-time mother? So we were looking. I woke up every morning saying to myself, there must be a way I can solve this problem. Well, what happened was I ran into this guy at the University of Maine, and we would have a class together and take a coffee break every day. During that coffee break, he asked me about my favorite subject, me. Where are you from? What do you do? Blah, 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 blah. And what he found out was everything I just told you and how frustrated I was. So he knew I was looking. So one day during our coffee break, he said, Colombo, I want to tell you 6 things about this project I'm working on. And if you have any interest,
Well, it must not just be me. I think that Colombo and Karen froze up. And so what we'll do is we'll plow ahead for a little bit and see if Colombo and Karen can find their way back to our little virtual world we have here. But in the meantime, I'm going to have Lance and Tracy fill in on their part of it in hopes that Colombo and Karen can come back in and complete their portion of it. Lance and Tracy Smith are wonderful leaders in this business. They've made more money in this industry than I think they're in the top 50 income earners in the world in this industry. And they're dear friends of mine, and they've also been dear clients of mine over the years. 2 people who the connection that this industry fosters is so much more rich and deep than the connection that traditional business fosters. And that's never been more exemplified than my relationship with Lance and Tracy. I was partners with my partners in my law firm for 30 years. And during that window of time, I may have gone to dinner with them a couple of times. Lance and Tracy and I, and for that matter, Karen and Colombo, we've traveled around the world together and enjoyed things that I would never have dreamed of as a farm kid in Kansas. But now that I've actually been on airplanes and literally flown around the world with folks, I know full well that these 2 have something to offer each of you that will be helpful to you in your endeavors in this business. So without further ado, I give to you Lance and Tracy Smith with the hope that we can bring Karen and Colombo back right after they talk.
Actually, I'll be looking for them, and if they come back in, we'll pull them back up, and they're back. So Colombo, your 6 things, take it away.
I think we're back.
You are.
We are. Okay. Thank you. So where was I? The gentleman said, I have 6 things I'd like to share with you. If you have some interest, we'll get together with our wives and talk about it. If you have no interest, we'll just drop it here. So the 6 things started. He said, the first thing that you need to know if you want to have success is you got to be in business for yourself. And I said, I know that because my dad has been telling me my whole life, Colombo, whatever you do, don't work for someone else, work for yourself. So I was pretty well brainwashed to be in business for myself. And that's why I started my first business, my construction business, when I was 22 years old. He said, the reason that most people don't work for themselves is, number 1, they don't know what to do. They don't have any training in business. Number 2, they don't have the money to start a business. And number 3, they can't quit what they're doing to try something that may or may not work. So he said, how about if I could share a business opportunity with you that you didn't have to come up with a lot of money? You didn't have to know anything because we have a system in place that you learn as you go, and you don't have to give up what you're doing. You do it around as busy a schedule as you got. If you can find an hour here, an hour there, you can squeeze it in. So start your own business. You don't have to give up what you're doing. You don't have to know anything about business. You don't have to come up with a ton of money. He had my attention. And then he said, the last 2 things are this. Point number 5, you get paid in direct proportion to the effort you put in. If you do a little, you make a little. If you do more, you make more. If you do a lot, you make a lot. But if you do nothing, you make nothing. He said, there's no guarantees, no promises, no floors, no ceilings. You just get paid for what you do. And if you're not happy, if you work harder, you'll make more money. Now, I got excited about that idea because we were not afraid to roll up our sleeves and put in the effort. And he said, the last thing was it has the potential to build into something. And this is where the duplication factor comes in. It has the opportunity to build into something that could potentially turn into an ongoing income that would come on for years and years and years, even to generations and generations. So needless to say, I was excited. We got together, we got the thing started, and Karen will finish that part of the story in a minute here. But I was just, any spare time I had, I went out and I started sharing this opportunity. And he kept it very simple for me. He said, listen, this is what we do. We have some products. You buy those products. You use those products. You could even sell some of those products. And then we go and talk to someone else. And when you talk to someone else, they can do the same thing. They can buy the products. They can use the products. They can sell the products. But because you've kind of opened an outlet of your business, you get a piece of what their business does. And then it's like the cookie cutter effect. You continue to share it with people and you can build a network or an organization of people. And the bigger it gets, the more money it generates. Well, I'll tell you, this was something that I hadn't understood because, as Karen and I had proved, we knew how to trade dollars for hours, but we didn't know how to multiply or duplicate our time or our effort. Well, I jumped into this thing, and 18 months later, we were in a position that, number 1, we were expecting our second child, and number 2, Karen was able to come home as a full-time mother, and she's been a full-time mother and now a full-time grandmother ever since. So that little meeting I had with that gentleman in a hallway at the University of Maine literally changed our lives. So I want to touch on just a little bit of the duplication factor. I think that probably a good example is most of you know, if you go into a town, any town or any city, that there's a thing that we call mom and pop stores. Like there might be a little restaurant, it might be a flower shop, it might be a dry cleaners, and it's usually owned by mom and pop. And mom and pop go out and they work that thing usually 24/7. And they work it until the day they die. And then mom and pop turn the business over to the kids. And that's a very successful way to start a business and have success. And many of those people have become millionaires. We knew the town we came from. People started sandwich shops or whatever, and they literally became very wealthy, but they had not understood the concept of multiplication or duplication. So they were like we were, basically just trading dollars for hours. Well, here's a couple other businesses you might recognize. McDonald's, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Jiffy Lube. Do you know at one time that was just one business? There was only one McDonald's at one time. There was only one Subway at one time. There was only one Jiffy Lube. But they implemented a concept of duplication. And because of that concept, you can't drive 5 minutes without finding a Starbucks or a McDonald's or whatever. And there are literally thousands of them around the world. And because there's thousands of them around the world, the owners of those businesses, number one, usually got their freedom that it got so big that they didn't have to even show up. And number two, most of them became billionaires. So that's the concept of duplication, which Karen's going to get into in just a second here. But I want to end by making one more point. I know that we're excited about the opportunity, and I know that we don't know what the compensation plan looks like, and we don't know what the products are yet, and that's all been a big secret. But hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people have jumped on, mostly because of the relationship that they've developed with the people before this. And I've always had an attitude of, you know what? I don't know what the products are, but I don't care if it's peanut butter and potato chips. You know why? Because I eat peanut butter, I eat potato chips, and when I'm done, I get more. And if I can find people that eat peanut butter and potato chips, and they know they can make money by eating it and replenishing it themselves and going out and sharing the opportunity, it does not matter. If you got peanut butter and potato chips, the concept works. And we were talking to, Lance and I were talking to a good friend of ours about 2 weeks ago, sharing this. And we went through the whole deal of what was going on. And we can't tell you the products yet. We can't tell you the business compensation plan yet. But his attitude at the very end was this. Now, he had already built a successful networking business in the past. I wish I could tell you his name because many of you might know him. But his attitude was this. I don't care what the products are. I don't care what the compensation plan is. I know how to network, and I'm going to make this thing just blow up. And you know what's the beautiful part about this? We have what I feel is the best compensation plan on the planet. And we have some tremendous products. Thankfully, we've been able to be in on a little bit knowing that. So if you take this concept of multiplication and duplication in network marketing, and you have great products, which we do, and you have a great compensation plan, which, as Mike was talking about, I think is the best on the planet, we're going to knock this out of the park. And I want to turn this over to Karen because she's going to finish up a little bit of our story, and she's got a couple examples of duplication herself. So there you go, honey.
Thanks, honey. Well, again, we want to thank, too, Kim and Samson and Mike and Linda and Lance and Tracy for entrusting this to us. And I don't know what happened just then, but we're so honored to be here. I did want to finish up a little bit of that story because we had our first baby and I had to go back to work. But we now knew we had a vehicle that, I could hopefully get home one day. And then, as we found out not that long down the road, we were expecting baby number 2. So now we had not just a dream, we had a goal with a date on it because that baby number 2 was going to come. And so that baby number 2 is our son, Nick. And at that time, I did resign my job as a professional, but I became a full-time mom, priceless. But I also became a businesswoman. And I loved that. I was in the health business anyway. I loved people and I loved to help people achieve. So it was a perfect fit. In the very beginning, though, when Colombo first saw it, we had just had a new baby and I was home for a little while and he was gone. And I'm thinking, gone? Where is he? And he was out showing the plan all the time. And so I'm a new baby. I'm a fragile mom right now. And I can't find my husband anywhere. And he's not home kissing this baby. So I just said, oh my gosh, I got so angry with him. So I became the negative wife. Now I say that it's not typical of me to be a negative wife, but I was negative, which gives me a little story to tell. And but as soon as I got around the people and I saw how wonderful they were, I got around the compensation plan and what the business really meant. And I got it. It's like taking a college course. When I was in college, I take a course and it was, oh, I don't get it. Then boom, the bright light comes on. I get it. So we got it. And we just jumped in. Colombo was jumped in right from the beginning. But we became students. We became students of a system. And why is that important? It's because we're going to talk about duplication and leverage. And with network marketing, you have leverage because you will benefit from other people's efforts, those people that are brought into your network and some that are actually placed down into your network. And so if we can get this right, we can have great growth, huge growth, even exponential growth. So duplication is following a proven pattern of success and teaching it, the system, to our teammates, our brand ambassadors. And we do the activities. We do the same activities that we did so many years ago, but we use modern technology. So we're a little bit of high tech. We're on Zoom tonight. You know, we can send a link and a click and it goes around the globe. And we're expanding our business without having to get on a plane or drive in a car. It's an amazing addition to the efficiency of our business. So duplication is following that proven pattern of successfully and teaching it, having our teams plug into a system where they're learning it and doing these activities. And we have leverage because this is network marketing. This is like the eighth or ninth wonder of the world. We think it's great. So I wanted to show you a couple of additions on how did we start the business? Well, we started with addition. We knew a couple of people, right? Almost everybody has a couple of good friends, right? And when Colombo first got excited, he showed his two best friends, his brother and his best man. And here was his technique. He said, hey, I found something. I think we can make some money. And his friends would say, or brother would say, are you going to do it? And Colombo said, yep, I'm going to do it. And then his brother and his best man goes, well, I'm going to do it too. That was the easy one. You have a couple of those easy ones. So we added some people and we weren't getting too fancy. We were just excited, right? So Colombo and we added maybe 3 friends. So now we're at a total of 4. How does duplication work? Well, when they start to add a few, and how does leverage work? When they started to add a few people, let's say there was one of us and 3, so there's 4 in the team now. And then the next month we said, let's all get 2. And so the team got 2 more. So that was 8 more new people. With us 4, now we're at 12. That's the magic of duplication and using leverage. We didn't get all 12. We had help and we all benefited from that. So when multiplication with a duplicatable proven system work together, it's really called duplication. So we have a system and it's simple and we're going to be learning about that, thankfully, because we do have a system and a method of training and teaching people. Another example of duplication would be in our products. You know, we find a product and word of mouth, we tell people about a product and this and that. And so we create in our business circle products that we use and love, and we've talked to people and some of our customers come on board. For example, let's just say that we create 100 points. Okay, that's hard to do that little. You usually do a lot more. So but let's just say, for examples, that Colombo and I create 100 points. And now let's say that we've got a team that's grown and there's 100 people in that. So we create 100 points and our team creates 10,000. 100 times 100 points is 10,000. And our $100 contribution puts us at 10,100. Well, again, duplication with leverage. We did 100 points of that. How exciting is that? How about team growth? The same thing. There would be, here's us, 1. Here's our team, 100. And that's 101 people. And then again, let's say we all get 2. This is really big now. That's going to add 202 people to our team. We were at 101. Now we're at 303. Talk about leverage and growth starting to happen with a duplicatable system. Duplication. How about hours? You know, we talk to people and they say, oh, I'm too busy. I can't possibly do this. I can't squeeze it into our busy schedules. And we'll say, you know what? We are talking to you because we know you're busy. And we found something because we were busy too. Wait till you hear what we have that will help you duplicate your time. So for an example, how would that work? Well, let's say that Colombo and I, when we got started, let's say we're going to put 10 hours a week into our business. And maybe we have 10 people that are joining us. And these 10 people say, I can put 10 hours a week into our business, right? So we put in 10 hours and those 10 put in 10 hours. So that's 100 for the 10 people and our 10 hours. It's 110 hours going into our business. Where else does that happen except with a duplicatable system, duplication, and leverage? You know, J. Paul Getty had his famous quote. He said, I would rather get 1% of 100 people's effort than 100% of my effort. And that's what we've got here with network marketing, duplication, and leverage. And we have the system. It's all built because we have a system that's powerful, that's proven. Don't go reinvent the wheel. Don't go reinvent a system. We've already got that, thankfully for us, because we didn't know anything about this. And we just said, okay, we're going to just jump in. You teach us, tell us what to do, and we're going to do it. And so with our system, one of the great tools is the events that we're doing even as we are tonight with Zooms. And we will have in-persons as well. That's how we started. We did person-to-person, in-person conventions and things, great memories and great hugs in the necks. It's just great to see people. But what we'll see and coming up is we have these Zooms that are teaching. We'll have opportunity Zooms where you might not be confident that you can show the compensation plan, but that's okay. You can sketch enough out to get some curiosity and then give your friend, your new prospect, the link, and they can tune in and watch Kim Wee show the plan. How cool is that? And it will be recorded, and it's also something that you can send to people. We'll have the same thing for videos on products. We don't know. We're not scientists. We're not doctors. And we'll have these beautifully well done videos supporting our product line. And we'll be able to share those with people by, text them a little message and saying, I know you were looking for such and thus for your help. I found something you might like. And here's a short video I would like you to see. We're going to have these conventions where people get together and they share their story. We shared a little bit of our story, but we loved the stories. And we still love the stories of success. And it usually starts with a dream. Just as we had a dream, a lot of you out there have dreams, and then didn't have a way to achieve those dreams. And we were looking. So many people are looking today, especially after these last few years. And so when we hear their story and they decide we're going to jump into something like network marketing, and they will tell their story because they had a dream, but undoubtedly they had struggles. And the wonderful thing about these stories is once you have a dream and a struggle and you're chasing your dream and the victory comes, when you share that victory, man, there's thousands of people that are watching you and they're inspired because we were, and we would listen to these couples. We said, I can't believe they got over that. They did that and they made it. We would say, if they can make it, we can make it. And it was so darn exciting. And that's available because we're creating a community. We all want everyone to win. I think Mike alluded to it. When we help other people win, we win. And that's the best way to live. And then as Kim's vision is contribution, this business helped us to reach a lot of people and make a contribution into their lives. It helped us make a contribution into our lives with our family. We ended up with 3 sons and beautiful daughters-in-law. We have 11 grandchildren now. And we were so grateful that we had a vehicle that we could do this, make a contribution. So we also became a better person because of the personal growth part of this system, where we encourage reading and listening and just being a lifelong learner. So we've got so much put together here. And to recap it, we do have network marketing. We're going to have the best story ever told. And when properly built and supported with team leaders, like we already know we have and more coming on, with a system that we know is there, with a corporate team that supports, with a product team that supports the logistics, manufacturing, and distributing the products, and with a compensation plan, and you. We're complete. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for more yous that have a dream and are willing to work hard and be a part of the system and plug in. So become a student, learn the system, promote the system to your teams. Add in the beginning, you'll start to multiply, but using the system successfully, you will start duplicating. And this duplicating properly can lead to massive growth. We've seen it happen before and it's happening again. So we chased our dreams. We've got new dreams now. We've had so many blessings in our life. We hope that you get a little glimpse of what the future holds for you. Some people are brand new here. Some of you are veterans just as we are. And we know what can happen when a group of like-minded people get out there to serve each other and to dust off those dreams and to truly help people make a difference, achieve their dreams, and bless others. And that's where we're headed. So we can't even count all the blessings and all the things we've been doing, travel and the people we meet. It's just been an absolute incredible journey that we've been on, and we're so happy that we're starting once again. The personal growth would give us a sense of accomplishment, a sense of contribution, and making a difference, and that makes our hearts happy. So I hope that doesn't sound corny, because that's what it's like. And that's what Zig Ziglar would say. You know, if you can help enough people get out of life what they really want, you will be getting what you want out of life as well. So that's where we are today. We're getting ready for this big launch, and we're just encouraging you to jump in, run hard, run fast. There's an urgency now. We want to get as many people in, set up in their spots. So when the launch happens, boom, they're off and running. So we hope that you catch some of the excitement and enthusiasm we have. And we're so thankful and we're honored to be able to share a little bit. And we're going to turn this back to you, Mike. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Karen Colombo, thanks. That was awesome. We so appreciate your contribution tonight. It was terrific. You know, when Lance and Tracy and Kim and Samson and Linda and I were kicking the tires throughout the industry to try to figure out, we knew that it was flat, and we knew things where we were weren't right, and we knew that we were going to be in a place where we needed to be, both emotionally and financially. And when we were looking around, Lance said to me, you know, if we do this right, if we do this the right way, everybody will come. I mean, the leaders they're all just like us. They're all looking, the industry's flat, and they're looking for a place to go. And darned if he wasn't right, because since we've begun this pre-launch, literally thousands of people around the world have joined on board, and they're typically not the person next door, your brother's cousin's former roommate. They're typically guys who are skilled business people who, like us, were looking for the same thing. And so if I look on our team and say, gosh, do these guys have a crystal ball? Well, Kim and Samson and Lance and Tracy certainly did. And so it's with great joy I get to share Lance and Tracy with you, because he predicted it, and it's coming true already. Take it away, Lance and Tracy.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Colombo and Karen. How funny. We're the West Coast, and then went to Mike for the middle Central Coast, and Karen and Colombo out there in the East Coast. So, wow, you got all of North America here tonight. But what a great job. We're talking about duplication, and duplication is so very important. I mean, that's what our business is based on. And so they did a great job. But, duplication runs even deeper in a successful life. You look at Karen and Colombo right there, in 50 years of marriage, who doesn't want to duplicate something like that? I mean, just absolutely amazing commitment. They're respected around the world. They've been speaking around the world. Their family, of course, they talked about that in a successful life with their family, and the class. Karen and Colombo just elude class, which is so wonderful, where, maybe Lance and I have just always wanted to duplicate and have a life like that. So really quick, for duplication, it's really important to have practical application. And I think Karen did a really good job talking about the practical application that it takes to get duplication. And so I know you don't know about products. No one does. And I know you don't know who the owner is, and I know you know who the operator is or any of the stuff, but you do know the people in the field. And so the only thing that you can really do for practical application, in my opinion, today is get out there and tell people about the group of people that you're getting involved with, and tell their stories, the Kim story, the Mike McCormick story, the Karen Colombo story, the people that you're involved with story, and why that they're so certain that a business like this is going to shake up the world of marketing. And so I just encourage you, go out there, do the 4 things: compliment people. The next thing is question them after you about something that they're involved in or what they're doing. Get them talking, then clarify what they told you, and then contact. It's so important. Lance and I are huge fishermen, so I always take it right back down to fishing. You got to bait that hook. You got to cast the line. And then you got to reel it in, and you got to jiggle it to get some attention out there. And then you got to set the hook, right? And so I'm just encouraging you. I know that you don't have all the answers. Is it working for other people when they don't know all the answers? Absolutely 100%. So many people are getting involved in pre-registration right now. And I do guarantee you, which we're never supposed to say guarantee, that you are going to have an incredible, eye-opening, exciting time come February 20th. I'll tell you that, right?
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, we are excited. And thank you, Colombo and Karen and Mike. Just to wrap things up, I got involved in the industry, and it's funny because I think Colombo and Karen, when I was 21 years old and I went to an event, and I think you were one of the speakers there. So talk about duplication 35 years later in our career. Yeah. We're very grateful for that. But I remember coming up with an idea and I showed the person who got me involved, my support team. I said, look at this good idea. This is what I'm going to do. And they said, Lance, that's really a great idea. That might work. But this isn't about what works. It's about what will duplicate. And I looked and go, okay, well, what do I need to do? And one of the things they taught me to become the messenger, not the message, to be able to share an idea. Certainly our stories sell, your story is going to sell. But at this point right now, I had a conversation with somebody 2 days ago, and they said, Lance, I'm trying to talk to people. I'm trying to explain to them what we're doing with this new project. He said, I'm bumping into a dead end. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to tell them. I said, you don't need to tell them anything. We've done 4 of these calls. Our first call was a vision call. And Kim got up there and shared, her vision or the vision for the project. Mike shared about what country or what products we were going to have. Mike and Linda. Categories. Right. What categories we were going to be in. Samson talked about what countries we're going to be in. And the next one we talked about the compensation plan. This guy had gone out there and contacted 15 or 20 people and didn't have anyone in. And I was so busy this last week, I had 20 or 30 people. I said, start with video 1, the vision call, go to the compensation call, and then go to the call to action call. And then just to follow the pathway. And they watched videos for about 45 minutes or a couple hours and called back, and all of them got in. Every single one of them got in, because I am not going to be the message. I am the messenger. And we're putting tools in place that are going to lock this thing, and it's going to make this bigger than any one of us by ourselves. And I can tell you behind the scenes, there's a lot going on. I just want to congratulate everyone that's putting the effort in and thank them all. Certainly Kim and Samson have been working, night and day. Mike, I'm thankful for Tracy, for all the people that are spending time, the corporate people that you have yet to meet. I think they've all got cots in their offices and working 20 hours a day. But I also want to thank all of you for being patient. I know how hard it is. It's like Christmas and you see the presents at the tree and you just want to open up and see what it is. But I'll tell you, until then, we've got a chance to go out there and make history. And we can make it based on this story. I told someone the other day, in my career, I've talked to $1 million earners. Maybe once every 3 or 4 months, you find one that comes on board. We've been on the phone with probably 30 or $40 million earners the last 4 days, the last 5 days. The whole world is coming to this space. It's going to be an incredible opportunity. Those of you that are here, I know some of you are incognito and you're waiting for the announcement, and I get that. I get that. I've got a 35-year career. I've only made one move in my entire career, and this is number 2 after 35 years. But it's for the right thing, with the right people at the right time. And so next week we're going to actually have our kind of our rally call. This is the last month of January. We're going into February. We're going into launch month next week. Actually, we're 2 days away from launch month, and so we're very excited about moving into the next phase. That's the final chapter before we take off. And so Kim's going to be doing a rally call this next Monday. We're going to have some of the leaders that have been hiding in the backgrounds coming, maybe share a little bit of their stories as far as why they're coming on board. But I'll tell you what, we have prayed to be surrounded by the right people at this time of our life, and we've got them all here, and they're coming in big numbers. And so we can't wait to hear all of your stories. But for now, we are wrapping this one up. So God bless you all. Have a fantastic week. Let's make it a big week, and we'll see you next Monday on the next call. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Mike.